This is a song off the upcoming album. A story about kind of looking back on life with an old friend. And it's called I'm Home. I see revelation standing at the door. I have held your hand for so long I don't remember anymore. Life searched 10 miles wide and far more than that deep. And I'm so glad a decade on, your fire still burns in me. Whoa, let me speak of a man who lives to die. And did my bones meet the pleasure of a fire? And my heart still breaks, but the river's running wilder every day. That's how I know I am home.
Yeah, so no focacine. Focacine.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. So which is focacine is this? Oh well, you live and you learn. I was telling my friends before we came, I was like, I'm going to have some focacine. Like, no, you mean fettuccine? I was like, no, focacine. Well, it started probably a couple of years ago. A couple of the people who sing with me on stage, we started a home group with them, and we were friends with them for a year before we found out they were musicians. And when we found out, they were like beautiful pianists and harmonicas and really beautiful folk music. And we used to sit around and talk about how cool it would be to just, go back to playing songs in houses and getting your friends around and gathering around a piano. So it kind of started there, and we dreamt about it, but never really went anywhere. And then I had a conversation with, do you know Parachute Music?
Yep.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a couple of the guys from there, and we're talking about how in Auckland at the moment no one's really going out to shows, and it's kind of changed. And yeah, we kind of talked around the idea of a living room tour and decided to give it a shot. Really, nothing to lose. But people have really got behind it. I mean, I've booked in 20-something shows from Auckland down to South Island, and it's cool because when you turn up, everyone is totally different. So some people put on some food and they invite their friends. Some people light some candles and dim the lights. Other people, put on the fireplace. And I find that it's very real. And people are quite hungry for that. I think these days it's like there've been to tons of shows where artists are on stage performing and the lights and everything, but to have someone in your living room is it's personal, and it's actually quite freaky as an artist. But you get I can sit there, and sometimes I did a show on Friday night a couple of nights ago, and I played for probably an hour and a half and just talked about my life and told stories about the songs and had conversations with people during the set, and people would talk back to me and say, oh, I remember this, and they'd tell their stories. And so it sort of goes from being me on a stage performing to us all talking about life and music, and I can tell them a story about a song, but then they can tell me about a story in their life too. So I've actually really enjoyed it. It's quite me. I love meeting people, and it's quite nerve-wracking turning up to different people's houses, especially when you don't know them. But I've never had a night yet that I've thought was a bad night. They've all been really good. Turned up at the house, and I texted the guy whose house it was to ask if he would, what time he wanted us there, and he texted me back saying that he booked himself into another show and he wasn't coming until later that night. So we ended up turning up to this guy's house, and he wasn't there for like the first 3 hours, which was a bit awkward, to be honest. But he ended up turning up at about 10 o'clock at night, and it was really cool. But it was sort of strange. We were at his house and all his friends were there, but he wasn't. Scatter the seed, you said. My dad loves music. When I grew up, he would always play his old favourite records and tell me stories about how he'd buy records as a teenager, and he always kind of explained to me all this music and when he heard it and seeing the live bands and how great the music was in the 60s. And I kind of grew up with maybe probably quite a romantic view of folk music and Bob Dylan, Cat Stevens, and an artist called Don Francisco. And I actually remember listening to him. He put on a CD, or it was a tape back then actually, of this guy Don Francisco, and he is like a folk artist, but he would tell stories so well, and he would sing them so well. And I remember sitting there listening to one of the songs and thinking, this is what I want to do with my life, would be to be able to write songs that describe something so well that you almost get sucked into the song, and you become somebody else, and you can imagine what it's like to be somebody else. When I came to record Water and Fire, I decided that, you know, life's too short to sit around hoping that someday, you know, you'll start a band or do this. And I thought, even if I can record an album that only a few people listen to, then I'd be happy with my life, and I could just do my music. So I went into the studio and sold all half my music gear, sold everything I could find. We found some old jewelry that we could sell. And I recorded this EP and didn't really know what was going to happen, and put it out for free. I just wanted people to have it. I love to think that I do it forever, for the rest of my days, you know, as I said, but you don't know, don't know what's going to happen. I see revelations. You're the first person to ever ask me about that in my life. Yeah, well, when I was younger, I was in a band with my brother, and we wanted to enter in a band's competition, and it was in 2 weeks' time. And so my brother said, let's form a band and write some songs, and we did. And in a couple of weeks, ended up winning this band competition and launched into this sort of musical career back then. It was I don't know what genre it was, maybe heavy rock or melodic rock. And I had jet black hair and wristbands and black clothes, and we did all these shows. It was really cool. We actually had some success. We did a show called Krusty Demon's Motocross Tour. Have you heard of that? Yeah. It's like all these dudes on motorbikes that do backflips and cartwheels, and they came to New Zealand, and we did a big show and got on TV and radio, and yeah, it was really cool. But for whatever reason, 6 months later it broke up, and yeah, I kind of decided to learn how to write my own music and go solo, and yeah, but I spent most of my teenage years in Ubiquitous. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, my music's definitely strongly connected with my faith. When I was sort of 18, 19 years old, I guess I went on a bit of a spiritual bender, so to speak, and wanted to find out about what life was truly meant. You know, I grew up in a Christian family, so I was pretty familiar with that belief, but I guess got to a point where I didn't want to just believe anymore, I wanted to experience. And so about that time in my life, I just went on a big bender and, you know, tried to understand everything, and eventually came to a point where I had an experience where I met God, I guess, and it changed my life. And so I went from kind of doing this rock music and singing about various things, and when I came to faith and I came to know who God was, I decided that I wanted to sing honestly about that in my songs, and not just sing what I thought I should sing, but what was in my heart in the song. So, and I hope that my music is inspiring, you know, and that even people who don't have that same faith can understand, you know, where my heart's at and what I'm, you know, connecting with and singing about. And the goal with the music isn't to, you know, be this or to be that. It's just to be me and to be honest. And I hope that in me being honest, maybe people can be honest with themselves and ask questions too, you know? But yeah, I think that's definitely very evident in my music. I would say it is. But I mean, I played the songs in pubs and bars. I've played them in, you know, I spent most of my time, first of all, playing them in bars, and people would walk off, you know, even drinking, and they didn't seem to mind that I was singing Hallelujah. Or I think everybody connects, you know, everybody connects with faith. Even in the diversity of the belief that we have, I think everybody connects with spirituality or hunger for something, you know, to understand life or to understand God. And know that it's going to be awesome. lots of harmonies on this album, lots of vocal. It's very lots of 3-part harmonies, layers and movement, and yeah, we've really played a lot with vocals. And in fact, it's probably one of the most present instruments in the whole in the whole album. There's some definite choral parts in there, so it'll be, yeah, it's quite beautiful. That's Nick grew up and he did a lot of choral stuff when he was younger, so he's loving it. He's just sort of like going for gold, and I'm loving it too. So I think for me, you know, like we were talking before, music is an opportunity. Like I think in a way an artist has a responsibility to help people explore life more and explore themselves, their own hearts. With my music, I guess I just want to not be narrow and only sing about you know, one tiny thing, but to explore everything in a way that when somebody listens to it, they're kind of reflecting a bit deeper and enjoying themselves, you know, like that they enjoy the music and that they enjoy reflecting a little bit more on, you know, on our own hearts and our own lives. So I took a challenge for 2 days to eat under $2.25 a day and raise some money. It's very hard. Yes, my name means pod, so maybe that's it. Maybe I'll always have to do it to be me. But yeah, my dream would just be able to travel and play music until I die. And my dream really is just to be able to do this, you know, not have to earn money from it, but you know, to be free to play where I want to play and say what I want to say without being bound to a contract or to a lifestyle, because I think that's what being an artist is all about. I think in a way it would probably kill my buzz a bit if I got paid. I think it would sort of take a bit of the heart out of it. I mean, it'd be really nice. Yeah, I don't know, I'm a bit of a romantic, I think, sometimes, and I like the idea of sort of, you know, just walking down with your guitar in your hand and not much else, and being able to, you know, as a result, be yourself and not worried about doing what you think you need to do to get paid. But yeah, my dream would just be able to travel and play music until I die. I'd love to be the oldest person in the world playing guitar and recording albums. I heard Bob Dylan's album. I don't know if you've heard Bob Dylan's latest album nowadays, but man, he sounds old. I'd like to be like that. If you want to do music, that you need to be able to do it and express that regardless of whether it makes you famous or you just give up, because not everybody's going to be massive, you know. But you can make a difference with your music. You can still write music that even if 1,000 people connect with it, that's actually pretty special, you know. Like if 1,000 people love your music, that's great, you know. But I think you definitely have to come to a point where you can let it go and say, I don't need this to be me, like this doesn't make me who I am, this is just something that I do and expresses who I am. Whereas I think in music it's very easy to get tied up and to think that if you're not famous, you're not justified as an artist, and so it's definitely a hard point to come to. But maybe years of not being famous is enough to do it to you. But I don't think it's a good enough reason not to give up, you know. Well, you shouldn't give up at something just because thousands of people don't like it. You've got to be happy with what you do because you love it and because you're good at it, and you hope others love it, and if they don't, well, you're still good at it. Hallelujah, hallelujah, very honest, folky spiritual songs. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Sweet Carolina. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Just one? So music is a good way to soothe the heart, soothe the soul, keep you happy. I've been doing music and writing and playing in bands for 15 years, and I think you get to a point where you realise that it's not about the fact that you want to do music, it's that you can't not do music anymore. So I don't think there'll ever be a day where I don't play music. So I've kind of accepted that if that doesn't earn money, then that's fine. I'd rather still be writing and used to come and enjoy music. And life's too short to only do things for money. It's true. Paris. I love Paris. It's beautiful in Paris. And everyone stays up all night drinking coffee. It's like my dream.